So I put my mini boombox in here. Because I don't have an actual radio. Whatever. Yeah, there it is. Okay. It's like, you know, you can see like where you are in relation to like what I'm showing you. Okay, yeah, it's the passenger seat, you know? And that's like where your feet would go in the passenger seat. I just want to show you like my car setup here. And like, I like made a few things. Like, it's kind of hard to see in here because I want you to see like the lights and stuff going with the music. And these are like my stars. Oh yeah, hold on. Hard to see them. Oh, wait a minute. You know, I can turn the camera around. I didn't realize that. Alright, they're on my stars. Yeah, they're just battery operated. So it's like, man, I don't know why it looks so zoomed in. I don't know. Oh, wait, did I zoom out? That helps. Alright, I think I did. Yeah, so it's like, you know, this is the, it's kind of hard to see, but this is my, like, you know, seat right here. Fucking crazy looking, because it's like I'm reflecting on my windshield. My little mini steampunk Sonic. Also, this is my I put a magnet. Oh wow, you can actually read it like through the phone. I can't actually see it that well. Huh, weird. I don't know why it's so visible through the phone. Well, anyways, it's kind of cool, I thought, and I was hoping, you know, you kind of see that where, like, the magnet, these are magnets, they're pretty strong magnets, and, it's like it sort of, can you see how, like, it kind of warps the, I don't know, you can't really see it in a way that I can actually see it, you know, with my own eyes. You can kind of see where it gets black and hazy right there. I don't know, it looks really cool, so like, it's all encrypted, oh my god, the time in here. So like, you know, I just got some lights. I don't have a radio, that's where my radio would be, but instead I have like lights and shit. Oh, wait, I actually have to put, wait a minute, where is, jeez, I know it's, like, where the heck, oh man, did it fall all the way down here? Oh my god, holy cow, man. I made a miss, sorry. Oh, hey, dude, man. It's like, jeez, you know, hope you're not offended. I didn't mean anything weird by it. I'm not, like, trying to call you a dude or anything. Just natural language. Say it to, like, say it at any point in time, even myself. Alright. So, okay, hold on a second. Can I prop this up and do it at the same? Whoa! Wow, fail. Wedge this right here. Arm. Use my bare strike. One in the hand. Alright. I almost get it. Okay, this is a little tricky, but oh, okay. Fully possible, you know. Kind of shove it there in the caddy corner sides. I don't know what you want to call it. I would call it awkward. I would call it oblique, I guess. It's obligatory. Isn't it skew? Well, direct relationship. It's a direct. What is that called, man? Remember statistics? You ever take statistics in college? A direct and indirect. I don't know. Correlation? Is it what you use? I don't think so. Maybe no. I don't know. Whatever the heck, you know, you just get the data in two different sides, X and Y, and it would like show like a steady increase. Like there's clearly a correlation happening with the data, and some of it would just be askew. Something like that. I don't know. It's been a while. I liked statistics. I thought it was really fun. It's like easy, you know. It was like really a strict black and white type stuff. It wasn't like thoughts, no thoughts. It was like no thoughts of your own It's the data. You take the data. You do these things with the data. You're done. No thoughts. No opinions. Nothing. Do not put yourself in this. Just the equation and the numerical values that I have here. The data. And bam, you got a graph. That's it. I was like, wow. Weird. It's like I'm a part of this, and yet I'm not. Very weird. I don't know, it's kind of interesting, to understand that we are the first calculators known to mankind. I mean, we were the first things to calculate, or to understand calculation, or what it is, or the fact that we need a calculator, or a computer, something that computes things, a computational device. We were like, this is an awful lot of work to do it myself. So how about I put all of my efforts on a shelf and try to create something else that can computate things and put me in better health. I can just sit here and eat some of my crumpets and drink beer, while my computational computer device, my abacus, will do just nice to make sure all my days and my nights are filled with fur. Yes, my man, hanging out with the animals for sure. It's like people don't really get along with me. I don't know, I guess I was trying to go along with that, see if I can bring you something of a fat rap, and none of that, I can't seem to rhyme with this and that crap that seems to happen, man, like you just lost your map while you're on a treasure hunt. It's like you want to hit it all the way out of the park, but you bunt. You're okay with that too, and everybody looks at you like, a bunt. You're like, hey man, nobody complained over that one day. We all had bunt cake. Nobody complained about bunting then. Everybody was like, heck yeah, when's the next Sunday coming around? We're gonna have some more bunt cake. And everybody's like, dude, get the heck out of here. You are an abomination. You're like, geez. I don't know. I'm like babbling. I don't know. Maybe I'm tired. Sometimes I babble when I'm tired. It's really weird. I'm glad I kind of notice it's, sometimes I'll just kind of go on, and like a friend will just be like, hey man, it's like kind of late for all this chitty chat. I'm like, chitty chat? At the time, it's like, I don't even know what I'm saying sometimes, or the fact that I'm even talking sometimes if I'm tired enough. It's like just sort of it's like an autopilot. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but I don't know. I think some people might be like that. I've met a few people that would say that something sort of similar. They get sort of goofy, or they get some people get cranky, or upsetted, or easily offended. Not like offended like, oh my god, they hate you or something. It's just like everything's offensive, as far as the word itself and its definition. It's like, oh, that was too loud, and oh my gosh, it's too much of this, and it's like everything is overwhelming because they're so tired. They can't stand anything. It's like very a heightened sensitivity when they get tired. I don't know if I'm like that. I think maybe sometimes, but not really. I don't know. I don't think so. Definitely know what sensitivity is, but I think I just tend to express a little different sometimes, I guess, than other people. So I don't know if anybody would really gather that I'm a very sensitive person unless they listen to what I'm saying or something. I don't know, maybe I'm super revealing in the way that I look, in the way I react and respond, in my facial structure, and the way it moves around at any point in time, displaying clearly how I feel, obviously at all times, perfect and exact, no matter how much it doesn't seem like or look like, or how much it does seem like or look like the correct feeling or whatever. It is exact. I am definitely being myself. even if I wasn't being myself, it would be like, okay, well, that's honest. I'm not being myself or something. Like, just acting weird or some sort of askew, some sort of obligatory, some sort of oblique graph of data has gone on. And you're like, what? And who the fuck are you? And you're like, hey, man, you know, this is like, you know, what is that called? Multi-personality disorder or something? I don't know why they call it a fucking disorder. You know, I think it's fascinating. It's like, this person seriously convinces not only possibly you, but themselves at times. So you say, as somebody observing them, because who knows what they tell you and what they look like they're doing and feeling and what they actually understand when they go to bed at night. They'd be like, man, I got these cats fooled. Like, I don't really know. Maybe they totally get it. And they also are convinced. And so they just say, of course I am. Or something. They look very convinced. It's like, well, alright, you know. I guess they're very good at what they do. To be honest with themselves and saying, yeah, man, it's like, I'm talking to another person, but it's a multi-personality, which means one person having the capacity to have more than one expression of personality. You know, it's like having more than one way of language, which is like, I don't really get it. Language is language, but like I do get it, because like if there's another method or way, it's hard to explain. It's like language. It's like there's two of these things, and it's like, it's sort of nonsensical to say something like that, because that second one would be the second one. But what this person would be trying to explain with this multi-personality disorder is it is them, exactly them, and that there's no difference. There's no difference here. It is exactly them no matter what. You may see and hear and feel and visually understand or whatever is completely different. You know, you're not like yourself or something. It's like, nope, that's them. You know, I mean, personality disorder is kind of a serious thing, man. It can really, it can get you in a lot of trouble if, like, you're somebody who's, like, seriously immersed in it, and that's what you have going on, and you as a person, it's like, you can get lost in that, and, like, seriously move about through life with others, and, like, just create, like, this life in this web, you know, that maybe you're not even aware you're doing, perhaps, or sort of in a nonchalant way, not like you don't care, but like you have the incapacity to like care or something, because you're just being yourself and doing, like, you gotta get this out of you, this thing called personality disorder, or maybe it's a part of you, you know. It's like, you know, I have so many reserved thoughts about, like, I don't know, general, you know, help in the medicinal world, and like the psyche, the world of professional psyche, psych professionals. It's like, you know, I try to understand something and I take a look at the basics, right? Like, what do you got? Alright, well, you got this person, right? The profession is called a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Psychologist is more like a counselor, and that's about it. Their medicine is just advice, listening, being something of a friend or company to hang out with, a safe place, a safe soundboard to talk to. It's like a sort of health and wellness, because you know another is there for you, and you can go to them because they are professional at what it is you seem to be having troubles with, psyche or something, feelings, you know. It's like they know what to do, you're like, oh gosh, at least someone knows what to do, just in case I'm just like so out of sorts and I need some help or something. Like, it just kind of gives you some feelings of goodness, that you're okay no matter what, and whether or not you actually need it as a person, it's like, I don't really know, but I think it's for what it's worth, you know what I mean? A real psychologist is somebody that's there because you want to feel like you're being taken care of by, like, someone with, like, a knack and a know-how, with, like, skills and, like, a love and a passion for healing and taking care of things that seem to be having difficulty in you. You know what I mean? It's like just sort of a comfort, a public assistance, it's a caring note. Anyways, and then there's a psychiatrist, and the only difference I think is like just medication. Like, they're sort of like doctor status. You don't really say doctor, but they can prescribe medication. I don't know if they can go as far as like surgery or anything, but they basically kind of own you, is like the debacle that I don't like about psychiatrists. And it's because, I've had quite an experience in life when it comes to a psychiatrist in general. I learned very quickly the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist, their limitations, their abilities in the world of power, and like how much say they have in what you do and when you do it, and what you say and what they say, and not like they're trying to be against me, and it's not like some sort of conspiracy feeling ever. It's nothing like they're trying to get me, or they're such shit, and they just don't listen to you. It's not like that. It's more like, I don't know how many people have experienced something like this before. I'm hoping there's at least somebody else out there, is what I assume. There's been a few times I've heard stories from other people. I have some stories myself. In a situation where, you're dealing with professionals in whatever it is that you seem to have found yourself needing help in, whatever that means, at least like for somebody else or for yourself, or like anything like that. You're like, well, I can't make my own ice cream, I'll go to the ice cream shop. It's like, I don't know, it's really not that straightforward. It's really more like, I don't know, for me it's like you just kind of wind up in that position. My grandma had asthma, so it's like I was just always kind of in the hospital. It wasn't for me, it's for my grandma. So I don't know, you just sort of take things in. I don't really recall a whole lot. I just know that I understand enough of whatever it is that makes me understand, without a doubt, naturally, I think innately, but I'm sure it's instilled, is that if you do not have to ever go to a hospital or a professional in that particular category or subject or field of study has to do with anything that seems to be going awry in your life for a little while, it's, well, I have found so far myself, now this is my own data throughout life, like, I can't tell you anything about yours, I can't even hold a flame to it, your data is your data, whatever you understand to be true and helpful and blah blah, like, totally, everybody's completely different, but for me, I somehow, in a subtle way, learned that, like, you really don't go there unless it's dire straits. You really do feel, think, need that something has gone beyond the threshold of whatever, or you think quite possibly you would need some assistance maybe at some point soon, or like you feel like, man, I've given it my best shot. Like, what the fuck? Like, maybe you're trying to figure out, like, oh, man, I've had this cold for, like, 5 months or something straight. And it's, like, just straight up just a cold. And you're like, fuck, dude, what do I do? But, you know, in my understandings, it's like, you don't go there unless you're gonna, you know, you need, like, you know, those electric paddles on your chest. And you need to be, you know what I mean? Like, just... I don't know, like life support systems or something. Like, you need, you know, the jaws of life. You know, it's like, don't even bring the cops or the ambulance my way if I get into a 5-mile-an-hour car crash into a tree. And it's like, man, my whole front end's messed up because the cars are made like shit nowadays, and everything just crumbles and crashes. And because it's like, you know, 1/32 the weight as it used to be back in the day. So it all just crushes together, and they're like, oh my God, you gotta get into an ambulance. I'm like, yo, homie, you know how much that costs? $2,000 something bucks. And you know what I did? I hopped in the back of this thing that I never wanted to get into, nor did I need to. And then I suddenly wake up and some hours later, because of whatever it is they seem to have given me, and I'm like walking around aimlessly while no one's telling me where I am and what's going on. And I'm like, what in the heck am I doing here? Like, why would they even, like, what in the world was I sleeping? It's like, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh yeah, well, we gave you this. I'm like, what? And then they send you a bill in the mail. Some months later, you receive it. And I'm like, well, I cannot pay this. I did not even call, ask, desire, want to even, I did not even want to go in there and use this service. And I said it. And they made me go in there. The cops did. So they were, you know... Just get in the ambulance. This is what you do. You go in there. There's no conversation about it. I was like, wow. I was like, no need to get upset, sir. I'm just telling you. If I don't need to, like, why waste your services and time on me? Somebody's leg could be severed off in a semi-truck accident somewhere because their brakes went out on like a 17% grady hill. And the fucking sand... You know, at the bottom, that pit of sand didn't stop them well enough, and they went halfway off a cliff. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, their jobs are supposed to be... It's just a very specified thing, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's like you go to your grandma, your ma, or like whoever the heck, your best friend or something, and hey, man, you ever had this? Do you ever feel like this? Have you ever felt like, what do you think I should... Oh, home remedies all day long, you know? Ask the neighbor, for Christ's sake. I would take some castor oil for all I know. I don't know. A spoonful of sugar. But it's like, you're like, seriously trying to put a tourniquet on yourself, and it's like, you seriously need a tourniquet, then it's like, man, you might want to look for some help or something. If you can get to a hospital. So... You know, that's only one instance. It's one situation where I was like, okay, like, they gave me something. Like, I don't even remember. It was like they slipped me a roofie. It's sort of a shot. Because I don't recall the shot. And they explained to me what they gave me and how they gave it to me. I was like, what? It was like, seriously, a couple of mile-an-hour accident into a tree, and I was like, I remember getting out and looking at the car, and I was like, wow, these cars are like total shit. And I remember thinking, man, I didn't want that car anyways. That's what how like sensitively the integrity in the car is like, I mean, it's like a skateboarder, right? And they like, imagine like a skateboarder. If you ever used to skate, this might be like the best example ever. You know, as a skater back in the day, I used to like always remember these little pebbles. And any skater, I guess, I'm gonna say around that same time, because I don't know how they make skateboards or wheels. Maybe they fixed the fucking problem somehow, like putting airbags in a car. But like, your tire catches a pebble, you're stopping on a dime, on a fucking dime. I'm talking a tiny, tiny little pebble. I'm not talking like you're on Mount St. Helens, you know, is trying to get to a convent, and like suddenly this gigantic boulder, like Crash Bandicoot, starts chasing after you, and you're like, it smashes into you, and you just stop on a dime. It's this incredibly insensitive, disproportionate to any sort of force and force upon to items. Like, the dynamic doesn't even fucking make sense to me. It's got to be some sort of like perfect combo, you know, like a stroke of genius, you know, something like a, not like a miracle, but like a genius. Like, it is this exact angle, and it is this exact, where it almost looks like unbelievable, like a phenomenon. You're like, how the heck, you know? It's like, it doesn't make logic sense. You can't make sense of it. You just look at it and say, man, I wouldn't have guessed that. And it's hard to explain because it's like a different kind of logic. It's like you don't really use logic. It's just geniusness. And it's this fucking Pebble. And I don't know how it happens. And I swear to God, it's like one of them things where it's like serendipity. Because if you can seriously, as a skater, find that size Pebble that many fucking times as a skater, and every fucking time you're like, woo, wham, like you just fly off the board, you're always gonna skin yourself. I mean, you get pretty fucking damaged when you stop that fast. And it really makes that sound, and I'm not exaggerating. It goes, like, it kind of like, you know, it sounds akin to like a car that's going down one of them little swirly, like, parking garages, and they're up on the top level, and it's like if you're going too fast and you're not like giving your tires a proper amount of like gripping, and it's like just kind of peeling out a little bit. It really does make that whirt sound. Like, you hear like a burnt sound, and then you just fly from your board. It's crazy. You know. You know, I would totally not even judge or ask any questions about, like, anybody who had a story about going into an ambulance or getting an ambulance called for them, or going to the hospital or something, for, like, if that ever happened to them. Like, man, you know those Pebbles? Oh, man, bro, the hospital, an ambulance? Bro, one of them Pebbles. You're like, what happened? Like, were you in a cast? Did you have all your arms, like, raised? All your arms. All your arms. I don't know why I said that. I think what I'm thinking is, like, because your legs are up and your arms are up and your back is probably raised from the bed. It's like, all your arms are up. Or maybe you're up in arms or something. I don't know why I said it like that. All your arms, okay. You know, like he's in a full body fucking everything broadcast. Like, even if he told me that, or she told me that, I'd just be like, wow, man. Like, those things are pretty fucked up. Like, I wouldn't even question it. I mean, like, I've had sort of a ratio similarity, like a smaller scale ratio of what they describe to happen to me over this Pebble. So I'm like, dude, they got that Pebble. You know what I mean? Like, that Pebble is like the Pebble. Like, this, you know, mathematical, logical other thing that isn't the word logic, but something else. Like, man, like, that Pebble, like, defies all that is within that that math of pebbles and skateboard wheels, you know, method, and like the outcome range, you know, where the data should lay as the answer, you know, and how, you know, the answer being like, how fucked up will you get with this Pebble? And it's always a Pebble. Doesn't matter what size the Pebble is. It doesn't matter. It is a Pebble. Therefore, you say Pebble. It's not a grain of sand. It really is a Pebble. I don't really know actually how big a Pebble is. Okay, well, because there's like a pebble stone tiling, I think, where pebbles are actually kind of big. But when I say Pebble, I mean something really small. I don't mean grain of sand small. I mean like a crumb of cake exactly small. Well, no. Maybe a crumb of cake. It's like about that. They can get that small. And those, I think, sound a little bit more high pitched. Me. so crazy. Anyways, that's my story about, well, my one little story that took like 15 hours in a row to describe to you, because I tend to just, man, it's like if you're not prepared for tangents, this is probably like one of the weirdest videos you've ever been that you have listened to. I feel like somehow I always find my way back, and sometimes I like watch my video later, and I'm like, oh man, I didn't even answer that. Like I was trying to explain something, and then I get going with something else, and then it's like, I start closing up the video speech. I'm like, oh hey, well I gotta go. I'm doing around, thanks for watching, blah blah. And I'm like, dude, I like completely veered, and it happens. I always hope not to, because I really do in the moment want to explain whatever it is I'm trying to explain, but gee whiz, man, give me like 5 more minutes and suddenly I really gotta explain this other thing and I can't wait. Forgetting all completely of what I was gonna talk about before that came up, and next thing you know, another thing comes up, and hey, we're 50 something minutes into the video. I mean, what do we got going now? 31 minutes I've been chatting now. But yeah, so it's like, it's instances like that where I just sort of like pay attention, and I don't argue, and I don't cause problems like I'm gonna sue you. I take a look at the situation and I'm like, I don't know, am I okay? I'm okay. Do I have some complaints and some grumps and some gripes about it? Oh, fucking sure shit. I'd like to just give him a gigantic ear and bucket and possibly an entire body fill of like all the fucking gripe. But like, I'm not the type of person. I just kind of suck it up. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay. I need to be more vigilant. Don't get into an accident, or try even harder not to. And it was like one of them things. It's not like I'm accident city. I'm not accident prone at all. I'm actually extremely safe, and I was absolutely fine after the quote-unquote crash. It was like falling off a bike, man, because you whizzed down a hill too fast, and it happened to be like, some sort of back road near your house that was like pavement. You were like on that little, the red flyer fucking wagon thingy. Everybody knows how death-defying that shit gets when you're going downhill. It's like I sort of got 6 to 9 miles an hour, and you're like, oh fuck, man, don't move this this handle, don't move the handle, because, man, you steer this thing wrong, and you're going straight into Fuckville. And honestly, it's like, the way I grew up, there's no such thing as a hospital for shit like that. There was like you started crying and freaking out if you were kind of young. At least this is my account. I don't know, maybe crying is a very common thing, but like, man, it was like, I as a kid, it's like you just freak out because you're like, dude, everything was like this, and then it was like that in no time. I was like, and then I was like, no, ow. And then something felt not as good as it seemed to have felt prior to that, whatever that feeling was. And you need your mother or your father immediately, and obviously they have the answer, you're not hospital, there's somebody, 911, like, obviously nobody gets that. And neither do the mothers, is what I've always understood. I don't really know. I always kind of put that out there because it's like I don't want people thinking like, well, that's your life, like, not everybody's like that. It's like, no, I totally know that. I've been told other stories before. I'm like, wait, really? And they're like, man, did you go to the, blah, blah. I'm like, no, of course not. They're like, no. They're like, man, I went there and I got 3 stitches for this. Like, I broke my finger, blah, blah, blah. Playing, like, I don't know, we'll say like street hockey or something, you're just playing with your hockey sticks and your puck, and you're just, you either got the rollerblades on or you don't, and you just kind of like, it's sort of like rugby, like puck rugby or rugby puck or something, and I don't know, you just kind of have a good time. I mean, I don't know what games are playing nowadays, but I would honestly, man, you know, it's like, I don't know, I consider myself like a pretty, like a naturally inclined to be physically adept sort of person. Like, I get into it, like, I've got a, ante up, you know, if, like, the other team seems like, whoa, bro, it's like, man, fuck this. Like, they're getting, like, man, I'm putting the, you know, the secret weapon on the plate. Like, somehow I muster up whatever I need to, like, not be an easy target. You know, at the very least is what I would say. I would try to make sure, unless it was, like, absolutely just disproportionate to all extremes, like the fucking Pebble, in which case everybody would be like both astounded, I guess, because it's like, if I'm talking about the Pebble difference, and that's what it's like, dude, you fucking, it's like, that's probably astounding. At the same time, it's like, okay, so that was fair. Was that even worth it? Like, what even goes on? It's like a non-dynamic, you know? It's like, I'm not even sure to describe it. You know what? Dynamic probably isn't the right word either, which makes sense. It's like another realm of math that exists. You know, it's another realm of, like, physics. It's another world or part of our environment. It's like not even, it's hard to even say the word part of our environment. It's sort of like a, you know, how do you explain space as being like here? It's like, well, it's like, you know, you weigh this much here, but you really weigh this there, which is 0. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, maybe we could describe it like that, but it's like there's no such thing as leverage because there's no such thing as weight. There is no gravity, therefore it's like anything relating to this notion of gravity and the way we formulate things that have to do with gravity, like, what are the factors now involved? You know, it's like you know, once you change one thing up like that, and I'm not saying that's really the way it goes, it's like it obviously can't also connect to, like, gravity. At the same time, it doesn't have, you know, there's no way that weight can be mentioned. I just feel like, you know, it's just, when I understand something is sincerely dramatic and drastic and just strikingly, I don't know, I would almost say, like, it's like offensive. It's like it offends you. Like, you listen to it and you're like, almost it's almost like somebody smacks you and you weren't paying attention, or like the teacher calls on you and you're like totally lost in space, or like you're almost falling asleep on accident and didn't realize it, and they like call on you and it's like just that one pitch in their voice and you're like, God damn it, like on the inside, like, fuck, like it actually like disturbs you a little, and you're like kind of like it sort of like hurt or bothered you or something. It's just so much of a slap in the face, or like a drastic hearing that there's no such thing as gravity. It's like, okay, so we have video of what seems to be going on in this world of physics, I guess. It's hard to say when it's like through the lens and the focal point and visual sensibilities of a camera, okay, which is not my own eyes, nor is it my recording device personally. As I understand it, we made that device to do these things for us, but we did not actually do these things that device did. So I just watch and I'm like, okay, so it kind of looks like they're floating. Or those swimming, floating type thing. Like, it's that one thing where you tread water, or you sort of just float. Buoyancy or something. It's like buoyancy or something. Like, it's probably not exactly buoyancy. But how much do we know about salt? How much do we know about water? I mean, seriously, we went from, like, I don't know, possibly pueblos, made of, like, salt and dirt and, I don't know, flour or something? Mud? It's almost like making some sort of meal mixed in with ingredients of nature that are obviously a bit rough on the tummy. In which case you would say, oh, that's not a meal, you're making a home. I think it's called an adobe home. It's not made like a cube at all. As far as I understand, adobes were kind of more of a like a malformed sphere, is this sort of a more natural, I don't know, kind of went with the curvature of things. Like, it went with its environment. Like, you could clearly see it's like a dome, but it in no way, shape, or form looked like, like a planetary observatory or anything. Like that kind of dome, or some sort of religious, some place of holy place or anything like that. Or like any precision as much as far as like what it's known to look like, it's like shapes, we're like, oh yeah, circle, square, rectangle, triangle. Sure, I know shapes. And then it's like, shapes are quite infinite, and they're everywhere at all times. Anything at any point in time is a shape. They are all shapes. It's hard to categorize any of them, I guess, when you get so complicated as to say, okay, well, wow, shapes, everything is a shape. Whoa. Anything and everything, they are shapes, they are actual pronounced official shapes, obviously, that exist in the world of shapes. And it's not just the run of the mill, well, not really run of the mill, it's a cliche in a good way of saying cliche. It's a staple understanding, or a staple, like a signature. It's like circle, or square is my favorite. Those are the staple shapes. Why am I talking about adobes? Adobes. Salt or something. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, so the environment thing, right? Yeah, it's crazy because it's like they get inside this thing that costs billions and trillions of dollars. I really don't know how much it costs to make a, what do they call it? A rocket ship? I was going to say spaceship. I don't know. They call them spaceships. I wish they would. If that's just a coined term to represent, to be a part of the terminology when talking about like aliens or something of a different world, like a different, whatever that is, aliens. It's like only a prescribed word when talking about aliens or something, but maybe a rocket ship or something. I don't know what the heck they call those spaceships. Maybe they are spaceships. A NASA rocket ship. I don't know. Apollo. Maybe they just had the names for it. Maybe they just had names for the mission and the transportation device, the powered beast, what's that called? Mobile beast? I don't know, whatever. Their horse and carriage to get to the moon. It's so crazy. I just listen to these things and I watch whatever it is is it available to be watched, or what everybody more than likely understands also in the same fashion that I do about whatever footage or something. I just watch and I just take a look at it, and over time you just kind of like, well, you add this on, your thoughts and feelings about, and I'm like, man, it's just, I don't know, it's like, I don't disagree, and I don't say it's all fake or false at all. I think it's fascinating. Whatever the heck it is I'm looking at as footage, I mean, it's obviously something very fascinating. That sounds awesome. I mean, it looks like fun. I gotta tell you, wearing that suit looks like no thank you. And living with the idea that I might die horrifically is what it is described sort of as to why they wear a suit and can't just go up there like it's, Margaritaville at 5 and shit. They have to suit up or it is death, indubitably. I'm like, damn, who the fuck needs to go there then? This is what we have come up with as intelligence behind this entire operation. Well, you're gonna die for sure, man. You can't even, there's no, breathing doesn't, there's no such, okay. It's like, whoa, okay. Because gravity, and there's this, I don't even know what it's called. It's a law. I think it's a law, not a theory. I always want to say theory. It's probably just my own self saying I personally can't prove it, so I guess it's kind of like a theory, but what the heck is proof also is one of them things. And I don't go crazy with it, oh my god, nothing's real, or anything could be anything, and it's like, no, I just like throwing these things out there, because then it helps me to build upon something that I'm clearly looking for to explain or use as something to help me understand or calculate, or the factors that go in place, or whatever it is that we're trying to explain in that sense or fashion that now needs to be explained a different way, at least according to me, right? And I'm not saying it should change for anybody or for the scientific anything. It's just for me, it's I can't just sit here and say, well, I don't know about this. For some reason, this doesn't make sense, and I can't really say that I understand this. I just sort of say, okay, what would I think if I'm just kind of paying attention to anything that I have experienced in my life. And I've had a lot of very, I don't know what to call them. Weird, I guess. Weird and strange. I guess I could say spiritual. It's hard to explain. It's I think everybody is just very, very special, and they have their very own talents and skill sets that nobody has ever even heard of. Whether or not these people are anybody's aware of what it is that their skill set is, that no one's ever heard of, and no one even understands at all. Just you, and it's yours. It's all you. This is you in a way you think, and no one does this but you. That is you in the way they think. Somebody else thinks is not you, it is them. Just them. Nobody can think like them. That makes no sense. That sentence cannot be. It doesn't work that way. This is that person. You are you. They are them. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound ridiculous or I'm oversimplifying or sounding kind of like conversational, like a retardant to conversation or towards conversation within I just mean, it's really that unique. We are very unique, and I know we know this, right? Again, anybody can say that. Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, I know I am me and you are you. I don't know, it's unfathomable, man. And it's not unfathomable at all. At the same time, you're like, well, I'm a being, right? They're a being. And of course, we're completely fucking different. And I don't know what the fuck colors they see, but somehow we understand red when we say something looks red, and it seems like we're both on the same page about whatever red is. So, and the off chance that it was like not red, it's like, wow, what is it then? It's like, man, tell me all about it. Like, heck yeah, it's like story time, hooray. You know, that's interesting, and that's, man, you know. But I think, you know, for the most part, we love each other so much as people, as beings, as a race, as a, you know, as a humans, as our species, you know, as beings, we just sort of love so strongly that we just sort of are able to do these things, I guess. You know, conversate about things and look at things and have words for things and totally understand each other. And it's like unfathomable. At the same time, it's like, of course we can, dude. We have language and we have the ability to like decipher and problem solve and math. Lots of math, I guess. Lots of creativity and intelligence at the same time to figure out anything, even if it doesn't make sense. You know, we can just read their feelings or emotion, even if their facial movements don't move the way it should. Move the way they should, according to, like, commonplace definition or, like, you know, I don't know, a really strict way of viewing, you know, an emotion to be expressed. You know, but it's not exactly that. It's like, geez, man. And I say geez, man, because I'm like, you know, never in my life have I ever looked at a person's face and said to myself somehow, oh, they must be sad. Look at their face. They're clearly frowning. Oh, they must be sad. They're crying. It's like I just sort of watch it and I'm like, I think the first thing that I naturally do is, how serious is this? Yeah. Like, does this need immediacy? You know, like how much attention and care? Because so often it's like, whoa, dude, you okay? Hey, don't touch me. Get off. Go away. And it's like, whoa, dude, I'm sorry, man. Okay, see ya. And like they'll try to tell you to shut up. You know, because I don't want to hear you, you know, don't, I just don't, you know, and they get, you know, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, because it's not that you weren't paying attention, you're just, you know, you're being yourself, and you're like, let me help you, very passionately and stuff, helpful. And then after that point, you just sort of like continue to construct yourself in a manner that's not like, you know, pedal to the metal, Instacare or something. It's a little more of a specialized thing that goes on instead of like sheer chivalry, and you're like a knight in shining armor, like just crazy outrageous, you know. You were like that Pebble. You were the Pebble and they were the skateboard wheel, and you blew into that piece like a you know, a ham sandwich having a meltdown. And they were like, dude, too much, no, go, no. And you're like, oh my god, I'm sorry, I just wanted to help. And they're like, god damn it, ow, or something, you know, just too much or something, you know. Which is a compliment, I guess, in some respects, because you're like, I don't know, you're like too much for the fucking room. You know, you didn't really necessarily do anything wrong. You didn't really do anything right. You just sort of like were, and boy, were you ever. And they were like, you are so much right now. Yourself is just so much that give me a break for a minute. It's just like a fleeting second, you know, like that's good to know that you're on the scene to help somebody out that fast. That they're like, I've had enough help, thank you, that's enough. All you had to do was like dart in their direction. It seemed like, oh my gosh, or whatever it is you say, you know, in the moment of finding out somebody needs help. You know, if you're crazy, you just sort of like make a sound of something like getting over there, startling this person who's like clearly having a moment completely separate from yours. You know, like they're in total whatever over like their situation where you're like, I must save you. Those totally like different perspectives and moments. This is crazy, dude. Wow, I guess that must be pretty disturbing, I guess, then. It's kind of like the first time anybody talked about a mohawk or came up with the mohawk idea. Actually gave themselves whatever this is, this mohawk hairstyle. I don't know where it originated. They say like native tribes or some sort of, I don't know about the word Indian. I'm not sure. I grew up with that word. I personally don't find offense to it. I do have that heritage. I don't know. It sounds fine to me. I know what it means when somebody says Indian. What the real word is, I don't know if it's Native American or not. I've heard that one too. I mean, I would just say the tribe or their name, but gosh, you know, it's like saying, you know, are you Italian? Is there like another word? I mean, geez, is there like a word they use that they just don't cue us into because it's not necessary? It's good enough. It's fine. You know, maybe it's their word. Then, you know, it might be good to like keep those things sort of special to your ethnic group or your community, you know, in your own country. You know, maybe it's nice that way. Like, don't use those exact words that should be used for them as far as like the way they talk to each other or something, you know. It's kind of a special thing. I mean, how can we just go around using that kind of... But I don't know if they're like truly offended. Obviously, I mean, whatever the heck we're supposed to be calling them. I mean, Jesus Christ, man! So I'm just gonna get on the phone here and let everybody know what it is. Because if it's Native American, if Indian's offensive, and that's a hard thing to break the habit of. Because I mean, I never knew anything else. Like, I had a foster care parents, foster care home that like took care of me, and they were full-fledged Indians, it's so weird to say Native American. It wasn't even America then. They just were here, and we were like, oh, hi. And I imagine some of the conversation must have included, like, I mean, how much did we know about land? Because the first thing I think of is, so what's this place like, man? What's the terrain look like? Like, is there any lakes and blah, blah, blah? And it's like, you know, I don't even know how much we knew about land enough to be able to ask questions. Like, maybe we just sort of stared at them, and they stared at us. And we were like, I mean, was it the first time we ever went somewhere and met another person? We must have been fucking stunned. I mean, think about it. You live here, grow up here, and humans have never actually encountered, or that human, or that clan, group, society had never, ever encountered land, separate from their own land, that they can walk upon or travel across water to get to, or whatever the heck. I mean, maybe they'd never even seen, a river before or something, like, or a pond, you know, or an ocean, you know, like, what? They must look at that and just be like, I mean, they probably don't even assimilate. Like, oh, it's like a pond, but it's huge. Like, I don't even think they could understand and fathom that being anything like what a pond is, you know, an ocean. You would just probably look and be like, I mean, I don't know. It's like I'm trying to think of how I would feel in that situation, but I have to obviously speak as I would knowing what I know now, already knowing what an ocean is, I guess somehow, even before I saw an ocean, it wasn't the same. It's it's so far away, I guess, in history for me that I don't really know. Maybe we all actually have like some sort of response and feeling and thought about that sort of thing, seeing an ocean for the first time, and maybe we just don't vocalize it, or like we're so young that we just sort of take it in and adapt really fast. I don't really know. I don't even know, right? Like, these are all just a bunch of guesses because how does anybody know how these things went down? It's like, Christmas is actually this and that, and this holiday is actually, and I'm like, okay, alright, hey, I respect history, and I respect what you're saying, and even if it's even if it was some random stranger telling me a tall story or a fairy tale, not to sound derogatory towards fairy tales, maybe there are fairies, and maybe there are tales upon them. Maybe fairies tell lots of tales, stories and stuff. A fairy tale. This is like a common thing, like, I don't even know how big a fairy is. I hear fairy, and I don't know if I actually think small naturally. Although it seems to be something like they're small and cute, like fireflies or dragonflies. A fairy. There's a fairy godmother, right? I don't know how far back any of this shit dates. This could be like a serious fucking thing that went on, and an analytical scientific happening, right? Like, whatever a comet is, Fairy godmother, I have no idea. Comet, okay. This giant piece of land that smashed here. And it's like, who physically sees the smash? I have no idea. It seems anything that is smashed here is like kind of just done its thing, and then we show up to wherever the heck we think this location is and see that this is what went on, and then we speculate over what must have went on for this to look like this, because we know this and this interacted at some point, and I guess this is why it looks like this, and according to our physics and everything else, all of these things, this must be, exactly like they're trying to piece this all together, and I don't even know why we are so serious about that. Like, I don't think I naturally do that. I don't think I naturally try to figure out the point A to point B situation. Like, and I'm not saying like, anything like upset or against it. It's like, or that it's not important to do something like that. I just mean, it's like, it's explained to a point, or it's like, as beings, we do blink. So to try to explain everything that went on in between here, there, and everywhere, clearly cannot be explained unless you say, hey, I blinked. Okay. Are you even aware of your own factors involved that may have been this way or that way, that made you see here this way and that way? Okay, that could have been good or enhanced even. Maybe you have, sort of a rare talent or something. Like, that's your skill, your uniqueness, and I don't know. You say you couldn't hear something, but that it was clearly displaying sound. You somehow learned that too. It's like, dude, what even is that, right? These are like, gosh, what even is that? It's like, it's kind of a blessing, honestly, is what I'd say first off, is because if something is creating a sound and you know this somehow, however did you figure that out and calculate or whatever the heck went on for you to understand that, and you also somehow are aware and understanding and sure that you weren't able to hear. It's like, dude, was it a stenograph? Like, how did you know there was a sound? Like, that's a pretty fascinating quality. And it's like, of all the moments in the world, in your life, you like happen to be aware of these things well enough to speak this way and know these things, about whatever went on, Man, there was a sound, but I couldn't hear it, but I know it was a sound. At the same time, I couldn't hear it. It's like, whoa, dude. That's hyper attentiveness, or it's a love that goes on, or an interest, perhaps, or a particularness about you that you're learning as a person. I mean, there are so many things about why things happen like that, why you're even a part of things like that, why anybody is, there's so many weird fucking things that people go through or explain, or you hear on the news even, and you're like, I don't even get it. It's like you don't, some of them are very, like, just disturbing, and you're like, man, I don't even understand how something like that goes on, but geez, man, and some things you're hearing, you're like, what? And somehow it's handled, however it's handled, and you're like, I don't know, but, everybody's different. Everybody's different and stuff, and man, what was I originally? It's like, how many minutes? I'm over an hour now in this video, Wow, you guys, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness, I mean, geez, it's probably the music. It sets the mood. It's the lights, Oh man, I'm kind of tired probably too. It's pretty late, I think. Let me see what time it is. Yeah, it's pretty late. It's like just about midnight. I probably need to just lay down and go to sleep now. Well, gosh, I was trying to think of, like, where was, like, what was it, this whole thing, this video about here, like, what was the Pebble thing? Oh, yeah, the environment thing, yeah. Yeah, it's like just really crazy to me that basically, in short, what I'm trying to say is that it's fascinating and so weird. I don't know what other words to use, folks. I'm sorry. I like that word. Very, very strange and very, very weird. When I think of our environment and all the things that I have heard, known, read, seen, and personally have experienced, our environment is one of a kind and so much going on. Boredom is clearly not something that exists. I think the word may exist because we gotta express our feelings in some way and fashion, like saying fuck or shit. The heck does that mean? Some sort of passionate word or something. I don't really know it. I guess that's kind of what the word boredom must be, because I don't think, boredom to me does not exist at all. I think sometimes we get bored and we say these things, words to explain feelings of something, like, man, I wish I had more interest or something, but actually be bored, as far as like a definition is concerned, bored, I mean, the first thing I think is like the most simplest root you can come up with is like a board, right? Flat as a board. I think of a board, and it's like, I think of a seesaw, and I always kind of wonder if, like, this is what went on. They were like, they obviously understood the design of a seesaw, and it's actually a very dramatic fucking playground activity, especially doing this with somebody belts. I mean, even by yourself, it's pretty dramatic if you really tried to do this, you know. Man, you gotta heave ho to get up with your seat on one side, and then you're falling straight down, like, man, with a mile per hour, you know, you're headed towards the ground, and if you're with somebody else, it's like, who knows what the heck, man? Do they know how to do this game or what? Because somebody might go flying. Somebody might, you know, how many times has anybody forgot that they're getting off the seat, and then, oh man, it happens, and it really does. I am victim to it, and so is somebody else I was playing with, because I did that. And after that, man, everybody's like, holy shit, whoa. So not only are you paying more attention to getting off the seat, but the other person's paying more attention to getting off the seat, or you getting off the seat, or anything having to do with anything that disrupts the fucking balance of anything. It's crazy. Which is, like, kind of beautiful in some respects. It's like, oh my god, you know, we care so much and stuff, like, about ourselves and others. And you're like, seriously, if you wanted to play in the playground, you had to, like, give a shit. Or, like, everybody just gets hurt. And it's like, you get hurt, man. It's, like, not even funny. Wow, I'm going on even more. Man, I'm sorry. It's like an hour and 11 minutes now. I don't know what even happened. Holy shit. Start talking about, the board thing. Man, I get going, I swear. But yeah, I'm thinking like flat as a board, right? To be bored is like, you think of a board and you think it's laying this way, right? A board lays this way. Well, that's the first picture that comes to my mind. I don't know. It's probably not everybody. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. Maybe it was. This is just a possible stab at like how this came about. Board. And when a seesaw is like this, you know, the board that you're both seated upon on either side is like that. It is no longer really a playground activity, game, sport, there's no conversation really going on at that point. It's sort of like lukewarm. It's the non-temperature where you're like, I don't know if I want to put more warm water in the bath because I'm uncomfortable, or I want to wait a little while because it's still kind of uncomfortably too warm, let it cool down a bit. I don't know. I can't tell. Do I do anything yet? The temperature is just not here or something. Or it's completely here and I am satiated. It's a moment of satiation, and everybody's like, I don't know what to do. It's like it's not here nor there. It's just, and they got like no words because can't even call it temperature at that point. I guess it's just like you're not really up or down. You're not on one side of the seesaw. You're not doing anything. It isn't. It becomes a nothing. It's almost like it's invisible. You know what I mean? Like as far as the entire game is concerned, a board, a flat board type of situation, and a seesaw, and it's like, okay, so we should just get off. I mean, I wonder, like, I never really lingered in that position on a seesaw because I don't know. It's like not. I don't think it's like naturally what you really do. I mean, I think perhaps you tend to balance a bit when you're chatting, maybe with like a friend or on the other side, but you tend to sort of like weeble back and forth, tipping it, and towing it a little while you're chatting. It's not like totally perfectly flat as a board, you know, on the ground. I don't think we have the capacity to do that unless we did that like sort of naturally somehow, and then we were like, hey, what the heck? And then we like kind of could feel that it was like perfectly stable. You just kind of wonder what's going on for a moment and look and just be like, wow, this is really weird. It feels like this. You know, this is what I assume. I don't even know. I never paid that much attention as a kid, and then next thing you know, they're like, I'm not even sure if they're legal to be made anymore. Kind of a dangerous thing. I hope they're not a danger. They're not a danger to us kids, man. You know, we've been in them motherfuckers before. We've had our fair share of ouchies, whatever you want to call those. They're now scars. And, you know, ripped, unwearable pants. They got either thrown away and grown out of, or hand-me-downed. Yeah, man. As now our skin, very tough. Learned a lot, you know, so it's like, I hope they don't just stop designing and making these things and appreciating the science involved. It's a completely different world of playground, you know. If you don't have those things, it's very, very different. You know, it's kind of like the old roller coaster. This is this wooden rickety son of a bitch, and you can go any loop-de-loops unless it was like that. Definitely not upside down, nothing like that. You just got that one bar that keep going on your lap, and away you went. And you smashing into that person sitting in that seat with you. And if you don't have anybody sitting with you, it was kind of uncomfortable, because you seriously were gonna go wham in one side and wham in the other. But I'll tell you what, man, what a great time I always had. That was so much fun to get tossed around. You know, it was so much fun. It was like, I don't know. It was like never hazardous, you know? Never hazardous. It was almost like kind of fun to play with the laws of physics in that way. It was like playing catch or something. It was like hand-eye coordination. It was like, you know, you had to brace yourself and you knew it was coming, or you, dang, I wasn't paying attention, and you like got thrown for a loop. And I mean, did you ever really get hurt on one of them roller coasters? Like, there might have been a few times where you like actually wasn't paying attention, or it seriously threw you in a way that you weren't ready for, or something, for some reason, and it sort of it takes the words right out of you, and the ability to speak for a minute. And I think you just sort of like chalk it up in your own mind and heart and body. Because you've got to solve it right away so that never happens again. But I mean, do you ever really get hurt on them things? I'd say that's few, far, and in between. Like, I mean, few and far in between. Yeah, I don't think that happens that often. It's like a fluke. It's like a random, or like an impossibility shows up, or a free radical, or a nonsense, or a I don't know, you know. Anyways, yeah, I think I'm just getting tired. You know, free radicals, right? What am I talking about? Like, oh my god, you know, the random, you know, hazardous things that go on. You're on a wooden roller coaster, or dealing with lead pencils, or gee, I don't know. Oh, slap bracelets. The crazy things that go on with slap bracelets, man. You don't know unless you know. Those things were made illegal because they actually were cutting people's wrists and shit. I mean, they make them different now, but maybe they could cut through. I wouldn't doubt it. It's just like, man, wow. You know, this was my upbringing, was like the toys that came out for kids, you know. Oh, they might hurt you and gash you. I don't know if you die, you know, but you might get a scar. You might bleed a little. Hey, just, you know, and all anybody understands is like, be more careful. You know, duct tape. Anybody got some duct tape? Hey, you know, you gotta be solving problems, man. If you want to play, you gotta figure this shit out. And they were like, you know, eventually they just kind of made it illegal. And you They're like, oh, okay. And I had a couple, actually, where they started, like, the metal, because they made them with metal on the inside. I mean, I think they should. I don't know why metal's ever a problem. It's like, really give it a better sheath. Or whatever the fuck, do something, right? There's nothing wrong with metal. But, like, I had a couple, actually, back then that actually tore through the fabric thing around it. And it tore through it. It didn't actually cut me or nick me. I could see that, like, the seams would become slowly showing me it's coming undone. It wasn't a very dramatic breakthrough and then it stabbed my wrist or anything. Nothing like that. Man, I remember when hand sanitizer came out and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna use that. I'm like, man, that shit's straight up alcohol. That's like seriously washing your hands in, like, the way I associate it. This reason for saying no way is because, antibacterial, I mean, what is it called? Oh my god. Hand sanitizer, that's what it is. And the way I see hand sanitizer personally is something like hydrogen peroxide. And that was the kind of thing where it's like, you gotta cut big enough and bleeding well enough, or this is something that might seriously be infected, so you gotta try and fix this shit. Not like it's like dire necessity even then. Grandma your mother or whoever, like, sees some kind of cut and they're like, that's that kind of color. We might want to put some of this hydrogen peroxide on it. It shouldn't be that color, That's the color of, of an infection or a bacteria you don't want. That's not a probiotic going on right there, kiddo. We gotta put some hydrogen peroxide. I'm like, okay. Oxide. Peroxide. What's peroxide? Is that like percent? Oxide, that's O2. Hydrogen. So H. Peroxide. Peroxide. I don't know what PER stands for. But the first thing I think of is percent, you know what I mean? So it's like hydrogen peroxide, It's like one hydrogen. It's basically what it's saying in, like, language terms. But also, I guess, sort of mathematical, but it is chemistry. Is a hydrogen per every oxide, which is, as far as I understand, 2 oxides, right? And oxide 2, so there's 2 oxygens. So basically what they're saying there is that this formula, potion, solution that you are using is this and simply this. It is 1 hydrogen per every 2 oxygens. That is the composition that this is what you are using, hydrogen peroxide, which is fucking awesome they call it that, man. I don't know of anything that's like, so basically understood and called that still, hydrogen peroxide. Wow, that's fun. I've never actually tried to sort that out. I never came across that just now, and that's really interesting. Wait a minute, so if it's like percent, oh, that makes sense. Like, what the fuck? It's the simple things. I swear these things blow my mind. Because it's like I wasn't around for the percent. I was around for the percentage sign. Or like the word was spelled out, percent, as one big word. Back in the day, it was like per every cent. Talking about land ownership and farming and how much water usage you use. It's the math then, percent. 2 separate words, and then I didn't grow up with that, so how the heck do I know? But I do my best to try to figure the fuck out before I read anything else, because it's like, oh man, come on, I can at least give it an attempt. Storytelling is the greatest thing in the world. Not that I don't like learning or something. It's like, yeah, man, I like learning for myself too. What makes anybody more credible than me, I don't really know. I don't even... credibility is one of them things, Everybody's got a say. Everybody's a part of the whole. Everybody's a piece of the whole. Everybody's himself. And everybody is, You can't just say, hey, you have no credibility. It's like, whatever percent credibility you think they have, they do have. No matter how small the degree is, whatever that means, they have credibility, according to them at least, or they wouldn't have done what they did, or said what they said, or interjected or something, you know what I mean? Like, someone must in that moment somehow feel like they had credibility, because they express their opinion in a way that is, hey, this matters, so they must feel like they have some credibility, and that's worth something at the very least, is the fact that they felt like they had the confidence and the know-how and the correct anythings to back it up and feel, like they know what they're talking about. I think that says something just as much as it being correct information or not. Whatever the heck that means, man. They felt like they had the correct answer and that they were, presenting it in a way that was correct and they felt good about it. And it's like, it's so interesting because, like, so many people probably really do say what they say and mean what they mean. And, like, these words come out and this expression goes on and this locomotion of their body. And it's like, I always wonder, like, is something that happens often is like, is somebody who, like, totally is immersed in whatever it is, this field of study, and their answer, and they're expressing and explaining it, or teaching it, or whatever, and they're so into it, and they're without words yet, like, there's no actual terminology or vocabulary for it, you know what I mean? Like, you have the ability to fathom and understand and share at whatever level you can share at using any language you understand or that exists so far to explain it as best you can. Because if it's something totally different and not this or that or anything else, right? Something completely new for the books, for the records, how do you do this? Words. Do the best you can until you come up with terminology. And then it's like, how do you explain what that is, right? With the words you have, to the new words that you're gonna have, and oh man, right? But if they, you can clearly see if they truly genuinely feel like they had the right answer. It's like, geez, man, credibility, no credibility. It's one of them things. I know when it comes down to the world of, like, what is and what isn't as far as official and legal and what's agreed upon as a society and what's agreed upon among friends and what's agreed upon in the government, federal level and the national level and the divine intervention levels. It's, I don't know, I just like to keep somewhat of a mind able to listen, at least listen, because I think that's really important to try to listen, because, I don't really know, man. I think it's always interesting. Always interesting, okay, maybe that's sort of an ultimatum thing to say, but I guess there are some rare occasions where perhaps it's a little too interesting and maybe dangerous, or, something that doesn't. Anyways, I guess those things don't even need to be, like, mentioned, because that sort of goes without saying. It's like, these things don't need to be explained. It's like, obviously, if it's uncomfortable, it's like, oh, it's interesting. Like, of course, I don't mean always in that sense. I think people say always or never because, in general, that's how they are or something, They are when they are, and they're not when they're not. It's like, it's almost like they're saying, I love life, It's almost like saying, I am. I am. I really am, and I really love this place, and I I can't wait, for, it's like you're expressing some sort of love, You see, like, I always or never is something, It's kind of a passionate way to live. Yes or no, black and white. Up or down, I guess it's that dramatic thing. It's that Pebble, man. Maybe we find it fun and we don't get it yet. I mean, other than that story I shared about, like, the possible holy shit show that you could wind up in, physically from a pebble and a skateboard wheel. I mean, maybe it is fun. It's like you're launching off your board over a pebble. I mean, the whole thing is actually hilarious. There's no skater I've ever talked to about the Pebble story that didn't laugh. Like, while you're telling the story, no matter who it is, when it is. Also, never before do you ever see so much real care. If, like, they've been skating long enough to have, encountered this Pebble situation. Especially if they're like a seasoned Pebble skateboard wheel skater. It's like, you guys just, like, this bond happens. Really significant bond. It's pretty cool. Okay, so I gotta go. It's like an hour and 30 minutes. That's crazy. Well, thank you for, if you stayed the whole time and stuff, you'd be obviously hearing me saying this right now. I just want to thank you for being patient, or being interested enough, or thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. Like, thank you for being you if you're, like, interested enough to hang out with me for an hour and a half solid. Whoa, mad props, and lots of thanks. And gosh, I don't know, I just thought to film this. So I don't know, maybe you had like a little dance party with yourself, please silently in the background, or some sort of visual experience. I guess I could have been a little bit better on that. Man, I was so into what I was talking about. Jeez, I didn't even think about it. If it was like a really shitty video, I will do better next time. I was not even paying attention. Like, look at the scene. I could have made the scene so much. I could have kept moving lights around and make it, more, switch it up while I was talking. I'll get better at this. If I decide to do it in my car with music going and stuff, I'll get better at this. Try to make it a little more interactive, sort of fun thing going on in here and stuff. Alright, well, thank you again and again, and I will try to get this video uploaded, and I hope it doesn't take until Christmas, since it is a new phone now. Alright. Alright, talk to you later. Bye.